for the raft that nobody else had posited. And I think the reason is because no other builder had ever looked at solving the problem. Nobody alive saw the raft.
Yeah.
The raft is lost to posterity, but we have some evidence of pieces of the raft, and we have some descriptions of people who saw the raft under construction. And from that, we built what I think is the only accurate rendition of what they possibly made, and it was remarkably seaworthy.
Excellent. I have to get that episode. Tammy will tell you, I pretty much religiously watch. And I actually noticed that there's one of the shows on the, I don't know if it's National Geographic or one of the other, Discovery Science Channel, I think it was, that's actually co-opting bits of your show. Apparently you didn't know about this.
No, you mean Beyond Tomorrow.
Beyond Tomorrow
Yes.
was the one.
Yes.
Because every once in a while I'll catch that. That's always on the TV, that channel, and every once in a while it'll pop up and I'll catch that. How far do you make it before somebody asks you on the street about something you blew up?
In San Francisco, it goes in waves. I mean, in San Francisco where I live, at this point in my neighborhood and around my neighborhoods, everyone's pretty used to me as a fixture at the local breakfast joints and the local bars and stuff like that.
The shiny wore off.
What's that?
So the shiny wore off, so to speak.
Yeah, and people also, they kind of leave me alone, especially when I'm out with my kids or, with friends and stuff like that. However, if I go to some tourist part of the town, like Chinatown or something like that, it's pretty much like every 50 feet, every 100 feet. The recognition factor is pretty huge. And when Jamie and I fly together, it's just crazy. And it's especially worse for him because I might be that guy, but Jamie is without a doubt that guy.
You're always going to
He never takes that beret off.
There's no escaping that. And even when you guys showed up here, I mean, it's like a rock star effect. I mean, you've been mobbed all day.
Yeah. It's very, very peculiar. I would have never imagined that just doing what we do would cause so many people to enjoy it so much. It's fantastic.
What brought the Mythbusters, or you can answer this either as the Mythbusters as an entity or yourself? What brought you to the skeptical movement?
God, I'm having a hard time remembering. I think the first thing was we were contacted by Michael Shermer about doing an interview for Skeptic Magazine. Mm-hmm. And that was probably over a year ago.
Now, had you had any experience with the so-called skeptic movement?
I personally had, and I believe Peter Reese, the producer of Mythbusters, was definitely familiar with the magazine and some of the work they were doing. Mm-hmm. I was familiar with them through just hours and hours and hours of pouring through Randy's site in search of various things. When we did Buried Alive, and we put Jamie in the coffin, I specifically, as part of the research, went and called up what I remembered from reading about a year before of Randy's experiences doing the coffin
one that,
underwater stuff.
He'd even broken Houdini's record.
Yes, exactly. And then his regret at doing so.
Yeah.
So I was very familiar with the skeptic movement through that, and absolutely when they asked to do an interview, and Discovery was a little bit iffy about, are you sure you guys want to do this? They have a little bit of an attitude or reputation, and we were like, no, absolutely. They're absolutely who we want to do that with.
I think that's a common misperception of the skeptical movement as a whole. I'm sure there are certainly some grumpy people in it, but for the most part, especially at an event like this, my experience, and you can tell me if you share that experience, is that everyone's pretty much not the grumpy, arrogant jerk.
Yeah, no, I don't see that, and I really liked watching Dr. Dennett's presentation this morning, where he said, if you dismiss religious evangelicals out of hand, you're underestimating the power of what they're propagating, and that's a mistake.
Yeah, that mistake can be turned around. Them dismissing us, I think, is also a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just to make everything perfectly clear to the listeners, I would have to point out everything to everyone about everything because I'm pedantic like that. So
okay.
I apologize. But anyways, running a little short on time. I thank you for sitting down with me, and I hope we get the chance again sometime soon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Hungry for more skepticism? Want to learn the truth about the scientific controversies of our time? Then subscribe to Skeptic, the quarterly magazine Stephen Jay Gould called the best journal in the field. To subscribe, visit skeptic.com today.
So Adam answered the typical question, what's your favorite episode?
Yeah.
And he actually mentioned the elegance of the science of his and mine too, which was the penny drop, which is about like the third episode of series 1 of the Mythbusters. This had tested the myth that a penny dropped from a skyscraper lands with enough force to either kill a pedestrian on the sidewalk below or embed itself into the sidewalk. And that myth was busted.
Yeah.
The total mass of a penny is not sufficient to perforate human skin, much less concrete or asphalt. And in Mythbusters style, they went to extreme measures and modified a gun to fire a penny. And that's when, again, in Mythbusters style, Adam had Jamie shoot him in the backside with a penny. And that was an enjoyable moment. And apparently it was enjoyable for Adam, too. He's always getting himself beat up. I think those are the two, if there are stereotypes about Mythbusters, it's one, they go to extremes in their science to the point of ridiculousness and large explosions. And then two, you know that Adam's going to get hurt.
What was your favorite?
No, I just said, but I'll ask you, what was yours?
I like the one where they blew up the cement mixer truck.
Oh, that was the big explosion.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of Mythbusters reading, so let's see. Let me find it in the list. It was about cleaning out the inside of a cement truck.
Yeah.
Using dynamite. I can't find it. I didn't see that one.
You didn't?
No, this one. The 5-second rule.
Oh.
I can't believe I didn't even know they tested the 5-second rule. Talk about urban legend. The 5-second rule is valid when it comes to food dropped on the floor was busted. This myth yielded a varied number of results, but in the definitive test where the only variable was time, the myth was definitively busted. There was no real difference in the amount of bacteria collected from 2 seconds of exposure as there was from 6 seconds of exposure.
That's fun.
So there really is no 5-second rule.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they did the same thing with, was it the toilet that did that?
Actually, that's the same one about the toilet seat is the cleanest place in your house.
Yeah.
And that's confirmed.
Yeah.
Adam tested this myth out of curiosity when the results were compared to the bacteria samples from the 5-second rule test. The toilet seat actually proved cleaner than all the other surfaces tested.
Yeah.
There are some big-time myths, like a gas tank will explode when shot by a bullet. But there are some really interesting ones that are extremely scientific, like you end up drier running in the rain than walking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that everybody uses.
I know.
And in fact, if you run, they confirmed that you will be drier if you run than walk.
Wow, okay.
When retrying the test in actual rain, it was conclusively proven that the running test subject got less wet than the walking test subject. The use of artificial rain in the original test led to a false negative. So they've tested it several different times, and it was mentioned in the Skeptic article that they had actually talked to some meteorologists who had done some of the same tests, but had not thought about some of the same questions that the Mythbusters asked. So they're actually applying some of the things they find out to actual scientific testing.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I always walk.
Well, here's my thing. If you're on a standard street and it's raining, and I'm from Seattle, so I kind of know, if you run but you're not really watching where you're going, you're going to land in more puddles.
Yeah.
And so at least for sure, your pants will get wetter. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for. If your feet will get wet, definitely.
Especially your socks.
Is there one of the Mythbusters, because they're all kind of different people that, thinks the most like you that you identify with?
Wow.
Don't say Buster.
No.
Well, let's put it this way. If you were doing one of those online personality tests, saw you Adam or Jamie, I think it's more like, would you put yourself in harm's way to have fun? Or
well, you know what? If you're going to say that would end up being Adam. Because I've done that before.
Yeah, I don't think that personal safety goes a long way with you when you're doing tests.
Yeah, I've done some crazy things. I've looked back and going, why did I do that? It was fun, but I was stupid. So I guess I'd have to be honest, be Adam.
Well, I have to say that I'm a big Jamie Hyneman fan.
Yeah.
Down to the beret and the mustache. And he speaks several languages, including Russian, and he reads Cyrillic. And he's had, so many different jobs.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's part of where Mythbusters came from, because they were